Okay, so I'm going to try and make some pixel art jewelry using Texsoft 2D Design. This is version 2 here, and a pewter casting machine, a laser cutter to make some molds, and some special mark solid spray which will allow me to do engravings onto the cast pewter. So here we go. First thing I'm going to do is let's have a look at some pixel art. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Now, I typed into a Google search pixel art, and this is what I came up with as my first set of images. And I'm a little bit perturbed by some of these, so I'm quickly going to change to another Chrome browser window here where I've typed in pixel art. I put in gallery and then 16 times 16. 16 times 16 is supposed to be the size of the image, so 16 pixels in the X horizontally and 16 pixels in the Y vertically. I actually might just remove the gallery there and just see what that gives me. Okay, so there were actually some images that I saw earlier there. This is quite cool that you got stuff like Pokemon. I like that. If I want to do Pokemon characters, that's really cool. I'm actually going to go back to the one that said gallery because I like the knight. I love R2D2, and I think this skull and crossbones is also rather good as well. So those are the three I'm going to work with. And of course, being pixel art, you can see it here with R2D2, we need to have a square grid with quite a low resolution. So let me just move that out of the way, and I'm going to go back into 2D design. Now, normally with 2D design, well, I'm going to make my pixel art CAD file for laser cutting. Normally what I do is I right click on grid lock and I change the grid spacing here to 5mm. And I change the color to blue and the style of the grid to lines, and I find that a really nice resolution to work to. But what I'm going to do with this pixel art experience is actually, I think I'm going to make a smaller grid. Now, thinking about this, I need to do a few little calculations. The first thing I'm going to do, I think, is make this skull and crossbones. So I'm just going to click on this image here, and I want to just count the size of this. And I might just pause the video at a few places just to speed up the process. So I'll pause now. So if I'm not mistaken, that's 19 pixels across, or 19 squares across, and 21 pixels up. Now I am going to consider making a little pendant here. I want to try and make it really small and super neat. So I'm thinking of making this have a size of roughly 20mm in width. So 20mm, if I make each pixel equal to 1mm, then I'm going to get a really super neat little skull and crossbones kind of charm, pewter charm here to put into a bracelet. So let's go with those settings. Let me take that out of the way. I'm going to go to grid lock. I'm going to put the grid spacing here to 1mm. I'm going to leave the step spacing as 1, and I'm going to just confirm that. And that now the grid is so tiny it's disappeared. But let me just draw on here now. I'm going to draw a square, which is going to be roughly the size of my pendant, and I'm going to look at the relative grid references down here at the bottom where my mouse is currently pointing. So look down there while I bring my mouse back onto the drawing area, and I'm going to have this. Now, I said it was going to be 19 in width and 21 in height. So 19 in the X, I'll go negative 21 in the Y there because I'm dragging down. And now if I zoom in on this, I should now have a grid in there which is going to be perfect for my skull and crossbones. Okay. Magic. I'm going to come back to my skull and crossbones here. I should just be able to copy this and paste it straight in. Now, normally I wouldn't do this in 2D design. I'd normally do some editing with this first, clean it up, and then go to bitmaps and import bitmap. But in this case, I just want to quickly kind of drag it in so I've got a reference. If I resize this, if I left click, I'm going to distort it, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to right click here, which means that as I resize this, it maintains the proportions of the image. And I'm going to bring that over here. And I want to try and make my life easy here. So let's see, can I zoom in on this? You know what, I think it would have been a good idea for me to have cleaned this image up. It certainly would. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to leave that there, and I'm quickly going to clean the image up. So let's just go to paint.net. Okay, let's just go to edit. I'm going to paste in this new image. Get the selection tool. I'm going to select just the skull and crossbones and lose the grid that's not being utilized. Image, crop to selection. It's not quite perfect. I could pixel peep here and go a bit further, but it will do for now. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to then, in fact I can just copy it, can't I? Let's just copy that, and then let's just come into here. I wouldn't normally save it, but just for speed I'll just do that. Now that's massive. Something else I could do here as well is go back to paint.net and press the escape key, and I could go to image. I could resize this, and I could maintain the aspect ratios, the proportions, and I'll bring that down to 25% of its original size. Let's now take that, copy it, paste it in here, and that's much easier for me to work with. So I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to bring this in. I still need to do a little bit of modifications, but basically I'm almost there. Go to the last viewed zoom settings. Now then, this is snapping to the grid in the bottom left corner, so can I bring that up to there? Can I now right click and drag this in? And it wants to go up to there. Okay, now interestingly here, the grid is slightly off. So what I could do now is I could come to step spacings. I could put that to 0.25 or 1/4 of a millimeter. I'm just playing around with different settings here. And I could actually just bring that out a little bit like that. And now it's almost like the grid is that little bit more accurate. Of course, if I'd done a proper decent job of cropping that up in the first place in paint.net, that wouldn't have been an issue. Okay, so that looks really cool. I'm going to zoom in a bit closer now. Let's just see if I can now start to fill this in. So I'm going to come to, let's have a see. I could do it in different ways. I'm going to show you two ways, but there's one way that I think I'm going to prefer. One way that I could do it here, let's go back to grid lock, so I'm actually snapping onto the grid, because remember step lock there was to 1/4 of a millimeter. So grid lock. One way I could do this is I could literally, kind of draw squares here. These really should be filled in black, but I'm going to fill them in red so they stand out. And then I could copy and paste this, and because the grid lock's turned on here, I could just kind of continue to drop these in and basically literally kind of just pixelate the whole image. That's one way I could do this, but I'm going to do another technique. So I'm going to move those out of the way. I won't delete them. I might come back to it. Okay. I'm going to come to the polyline tool. Now, as usual, when I click on this, it's going to go off into my extended desktop, so I need to bring this menu across just for this video here. Click on that again, and look, and there's my expanding menu, and I'm going to go to an open polyline. So I'm also here, I think I'm going to make this line color red. In fact, red is drawn by the laser cutter, so I'm going to make this orange. Now the orange is a bit close to that. Let's make it yellow, because yellow is going to stand out, I think, against the black background. Okay, although to be fair, it's really difficult now for me to see my cursor. Okay, let's make a decent choice here, shall we? Let's go with this bright pink. Okay, can I see that? Yes, I can. Fantastic. Right, here we go. So I'm actually going to try and trace this around right now. Let's try this. That's cool. That's cool. I'm liking this. Okay, so I'm going to perhaps, I'll finish this outline. There you go. And then what I'll do is I'll pause the video, I'll do the rest, and then we'll see where we stand. Okay, so I'm working my way around here. Now I'm purposefully going to make a mistake here. There we go. I'll show you how to fix that. I'm not going to worry about it now. I'm going to keep going. Having the grid lock on, of course, makes my life super easy, and it's quite good fun, I think. Okay, finished. Right click to finish there. I'm going to get the selection tool. I'm going to select the line. I'm going to go, now notice here that this little menu appears if I select the line. It disappears if I deselect it. Let's do that again. Start edit, and here's my mistake. With grid lock turned on, I'm just going to pull that in and edit, and that's the problem fixed. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video here, and I'm going to keep on doing the rest of the outlines, and then we'll pick up where we are. Okay, so I'm almost there. I'm just finishing off the last few lines here around the crossed bones. Just got to make sure I don't make any mistakes. Oh, I'm going to make another mistake here actually. I'm going to do that. Right click. something else I can do here as well. If I select this, rather than deleting it, if I select it, again, go to Start Edit, if I select that line, I can add a node, and then I can pull that in. Ta-da! Okay, that looks great. So there's my design. I think what I'm going to do now actually is, again, with grid lock turned on, I'm going to pull that to the side and I can see exactly what I have. Okay, actually now it's really difficult to see what I'm after, so I'll pull it back. Right, now let's do some fills. Now to fill this, I need like a bucket fill tool, and 2D Design does have that. It's called a bound fill. If I click on this, I'm going to have an invisible outline, but I'm going to have a solid red fill, and I'm going to go with this setting. So let's just confirm that. I'm going to click on the eye here. Any islands, that means is there anything within this fill that doesn't want to be filled? And in this case, I want to have the eye socket completely filled, so no islands. Same here, nose and mouth. Now I'm going to do the rest of the design here, and this is a little bit different. If I click on the external profile of my skull and crossbones, and in this case there is an internal island. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to say no, you'll see what happens. Interestingly, it didn't do anything. Why not? I'm intrigued. Let's try that again. That's weird. I did not expect that to happen. I thought it was going to fill the whole thing. Is there a problem here? Well, I'll keep going. I'm going to do that again. Yes, there's an island. This is the island. Any more islands? No. Right, it's just not liking this. So what is the problem? I think I might be selecting the background rather than the line. So I'm going to, again, select this now. I am going to pull it to the side. Look, and voila, here's the issue. So you see what's happened. Bizarrely, the fill went behind the skull and crossbones. That's very strange. I have no idea why that's happening. Let's just do a redraw there. That's odd. So, dearie me, I'm going to click. I'm going to have to double click here. If I double click on that background, let's just pull that to the side. And remember, I filled this 2 or 3 times. So I'm going to delete that. Okay, let's delete that. Okay, and that's the one where the well, I did the island, but I didn't do an island down here for the crossbones, so that's wrong as well. Okay, let's get it right this time. So, bounding fill, here's my external profile. Any islands? Yes, I've got an island here for the head, and yes, there's another island here for the crossed bones, and there's no more islands. Okay, now this is interesting because I seems to have clicked on this extern to the outline outside here. Yeah. Okay, this is fascinating. I clicked externally to this line, and I shouldn't have done that because now it's for this area that bounds the external rectangle. So I'm going to undo that. Here we go, like 17th time lucky. Here we go. So again, I'm going to click on the internal edge of this line. Yes, there's an island. It's going to be this point here. Yes, there's an island. This point here, no more islands, and that has worked. So I'm glad I had to do that several times. You've seen all the things that could potentially go wrong. So there's my skull and crossbones little charm. I need to do a bit more work on this now. I'm going to stop this video. I think we're at 13 minutes, and in the next one I'm going to look at how to make this into a mold, and then we'll cast it and see what we get. See you then.